Thanks for joining us. This is Live with Miami East Community News, and our guest today is Susan Racher, who is the chairperson of the National Association
Alliance
of Mental Illness,
Miami-Dade County. I'm the board president, volunteer position.
That's, it's tremendous when somebody volunteers for something that is such a sensitive matter, and so often mental stress, mental illness is sort of hidden away.
Yes.
All right. And
yes.
we don't want to talk about it because it's not like a broken bone. All right.
Correct.
And as we get ready to get started, very publicly, the former mayor of Miami-Dade County publicly said at one of our meetings, and we had a mental health get together, that his brother, who was homeless and very ill, eventually wound up killing himself. Mm-hmm. And even with the power that he had at the time, he was hesitant in seeking help. So whatever help they sought. But I can tell you that in the year, from last year and all through the candidacy, he spoke about mental illness. Mm-hmm. And of course, now we have COVID, right, which is where lots of people are experiencing lots of stress. So tell us, one, about yourself, why you got into this, sure, right? And two, about the ills that we're facing as a world.
Okay, thank you very much for lifting up this really important subject. And I am all in on mental health. In addition to being the board president at NAMI, I'm also on the board of directors and chair the strategic planning committee for Thriving Minds South Florida, which is what we call our managing entity in Florida. There are 7 managing entities. They're funded by the Department of Children and Families, and they provide safety net mental health and substance use from cradle to grave for Miami-Dade and Monroe County. So how did I get involved? I call myself the accidental advocate. I'm a finance and accounting and banking person by training and also by interest. Almost 15 years ago, we sent the last of our 2 children, the youngest, off to college, patting ourselves on the back, saying,
"Good job, Mom."
We raised wonderful children with friends and good students, and we're ready to embrace the next phase of our lives. And what I didn't know at that point was that we were going to become a statistic. And it's a statistic that is so large, and we don't realize it. What is that? Our son in college continued to have challenges that he didn't have at home. We didn't know the warning signs. We didn't know what to look for. And we thought, this is what a family gets when they send a Miami kid to Cleveland, Ohio. And so he came back. And what we didn't see and what we didn't know is that he was in ground zero for the age for onset of mental illness, 18 to 30, 75%. We didn't know what the early warning signs were. So the skipping classes, the interrupted sleep, the calls home were not being interpreted and filtered correctly by us. He came home and had a massive psychotic break.
Let me ask you.
10 years ago.
So, excuse me for interrupting you. No. I know it's an important story, but when people are watching this, when you say, "Well, I missed the signs," but the signs that you missed of acting out a little bit, all right? Even if you knew, all right, how would you know that because they're doing this, that in itself means this over here?
It has to do with severity and duration. And that's what NAMI, one of our really signature programs, is to help families understand what to look for.
I do want to share with you, about 15 years ago, my father had a stroke. He could walk. One day he was here at the office and he was stuck at the front door. Couldn't move his arm and one of his legs. That was part of the stroke. And I'm looking at him, and it's very cold outside. It was in the upper 40s. And he's sweating profusely. I said, "You need to take him to the hospital. He's having a heart attack." Mm-hmm. It was only because I was acutely aware of that was what I could look for. But the mom at home and the dad at home, and the sisters and brothers, so they have a rambunctious son or brother or sister that's out doing that stuff.
Right.
What are we as a community supposed to do? Say, what do we do at that point?
There's significant, as I mentioned, it's the severity and duration, lack of sleep, change in behavior. So, and by the way, my son has joined and is a powerful advocate himself, and is very comfortable telling his story to empower and encourage others. So I'm not speaking out of school with you.
Yes. So it's 10 years. So it was 10
He had
year
a severe
episode.
break 10 years ago, was hospitalized for a month and left the hospital. And basically, as a family, it was, what do we do now? We were grieving, we were heartbroken, but we were also rudderless. We had no idea what to do. We had no idea how to support him. We had no idea how to deal with our feelings. Unlike other illnesses, the illness of a child is always difficult, but with mental health disorders, that person that you thought changes. And so it's just not a matter of setting a broken leg or excising a mole or a tumor, which God forbid is horrible. They actually change in the way they are. And so it becomes doubly unsettling and difficult. So what I found was that the medical care was great, but the post-hospitalization supports for him and for the family weren't there. So I Googled, sort of help, mental health.
What year is this, more or less?
This is exactly 10 years ago this week. I Googled help, mental health, and I was connected to NAMI National, which is the largest grassroots and volunteer-led mental health organization in the country. At the time, we did not have a robust NAMI in Miami-Dade, but it seemed that this was the panacea and the help that I was looking for. They had support groups. They had a class to help you navigate the mental health system.
I hate to interrupt you, but right now somebody may be watching and saying, my son, my daughter, my mother, father, sister, brother, I think they need some help. What should they do if they're watching this? What should they do right now?
What should they do?
Yes.
I would recommend one of three things. If it's emergent, I would call the mobile crisis unit at Banyan Hospital. Or 911 if the mobile crisis unit is not there.
Okay.
It's not available. The police in Miami-Dade are trained. It's called crisis intervention training. They're CIT trained. Having police response to a mental health condition rather than a paramedic response or a social worker response is not ideal, but our police are trained well. And if it's not an emergent condition, there are a number of resources. If you have private insurance, call the insurance company and get a referral and get that person seen immediately. If you don't have private insurance, there's a safety net. It's called Thriving Mind South Florida that I mentioned. It's funded by the state of Florida. And there's a helpline. I actually wrote it down, 888-248-3111. And also call NAMI, 305-665-2540. NAMI Miami-Dade. We answer the phones in English and Spanish, and we will help. We will talk. We will console. We will refer to one of our 9 support groups a week.
And when they call in, they're going to speak to somebody who can help direct them.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's 211 switchboard that's run by Jewish Community Services, and switchboard can help on a wide portfolio of things, including food insecurity, housing, and other social services.
Okay.
So we were rudderless. We went to Broward because the NAMI Broward was strong and had the programming. We went to support groups and talked to other families and got tips on how to deal with our loved one and how to manage our own self-care and emotions. We went to a class that's really NAMI's sort of secret sauce signature class. It's called Family to Family. And in fact, we're enrolling now for a Family to Family class. It's 8 weeks and it's taught by And this is the secret of NAMI. Our programs are not clinical or medical. They're taught by people with lived experience. So our family to family class is taught by two people who are family members who have navigated the illness of a loved one, somebody like me, who are specially trained by NAMI. And then for my son, they had what we call peer classes, peer support groups. He was meeting other people and finding out recovery is possible. He's not broken. He could get on with his life. He could, he made friends with the folks he met. In fact, started a band with one of them. They have a band called Fog Dog that performs all around the country at conferences and things. So NAMI became guardrails for us to work towards recovery.
So NAMI puts the folks on the right track, and they know they can go there and be understood, all right, and somebody to hold their hand and help direct them through this challenge, right? So what kind of impact did that have when your son was diagnosed? All right, what type of impact did it have on you and the rest of your family?
When he was diagnosed?
Yes, when he was diagnosed.
There's a bestseller called Hidden Valley Road right now that is a great book. And there was a quote in there that really resonated with me, that when a member of a family is diagnosed with a mental illness, the whole center and balance of that family is thrown off kilter, and all energy and all emotion is directed towards the ill individual at the expense of the family unit. And so it's crushing. It's really crushing. And I talk to families all the time. It's crushing because of guilt. I didn't see this. The average in the United States, the average person is treated 8 years after onset. 8 years. Can you imagine treating cancer 8 years after a lump is found? And so there's guilt. Why didn't I see this? There's sometimes anger. There's a lot of anger. Why are you acting this way? You have everything going for you.
Certainly,
why are you
in the
depressed?
beginning, it's certainly that before there's a diagnosis,
right?
That they may be just misbehaving.
Yeah. Why are you depressed? Why aren't you getting out of bed? Why are you eating too much? Why aren't you eating at all?
So you have
Why
that
are
whole
you
thing.
Failing in school?
By the way, I used to be a registered nurse. I spent months and months at Jackson. That's where I trained. And I spent months working in the Institute. And I'm proud to say I spent years in therapy. And I said to my therapist one day, the only difference between me and them is I got the keys. And he said, Michael, that is a big difference.
It is.
All right.
It is.
So, and when I would see patients come in, they were having psychotic breaks, and I would see the families, and even now I'm sort of reliving it and feeling.
Oh, I'm sorry, I triggered.
No, all right. And those are real. All right. And to feel that pain of the family unit and the other children in there, that you're spending your time over here for people that you think that are acting out, and you don't recognize that there's a problem.
Well, it's the uncertainty too. There is no standard of care, so you don't know. Unlike heart or any other medical condition from the neck down, you don't know what here to there pathway is. You don't know what the right mix of care is. You don't know what to do. Whereas we know what to do in every other medical condition. So that's why NAMI is so important, in conjunction with good medical care. And we help people stay compliant with their medication, which as a nurse, you probably saw what what happens when.
Let's talk about it before we get on the other things. You have an event coming up. So tell us about that.
We are really excited. So in the last 4-5 years, we've restarted NAMI. We've gone from a hole in the wall locker to offices and a staff of 4. We're actually doubling our staff this year. And we are launching the first walk in Miami-Dade for mental health. And there was a really strong strategic reason for doing that. Over the years, our signature event became the Real Minds Mental Health Film Festival, where we have about 1,000 tickets that we give out for free because we're supported by sponsors. We're not state funded. We raise the money that supports us. So the Mental Health Film Festival became a really major event in May. But coming out of COVID, we decided that even though Real Minds gets a lot of visibility, because we can't convene and because we need to message the broader community, that we would have the first walk ever for NAMI in Miami and for Miami-Dade. It's called NAMI Walks Your Way. It's pandemic and COVID safe. We will be having some live events, but the way the walk is working, we'll have about 100 walk teams, and each walk team will do something on their own. It could be a walk through the park. It could be a walk along the beach. It could be I'm doing an exercise class on the beach, followed by a mindfulness session. We will have between 75 and 100 teams doing events and then posting it on social media. And we have a whole social media strategy that will be blasting out the information. We will have sponsors. And I'd like to thank Seminole Hard Rock Hotel. I would like to thank the Key Biscayne Foundation, Siegel Trials, Berger Singerman, and Karisk for being the early, adopters, and we are looking for more sponsors. And it's a way to tell the community that mental health matters, that we have free groups and resources and support for them. It's all free. It's all confidential. You don't have to register for most of our groups except our young adult support group, which we do require a call so that we could give out the Zoom link because they're young. And so the messaging is as important to us as the fundraising.
We're going to help you with some of that messaging. All right.
Great.
And before I forget, maybe you could get one of your team captains, all right, that's here. And we can do this right before the event, which is going to be on May 22nd.
Yes.
Right?
Here's a picture.
There we go. All right.
NAMI.
And they can go on your website, which is the address is what?
NAMImiami.org.
That's NAMI.
NAMI Miami.org. All the information's on our website. And also for folks, our 9 support groups are on the website. They're currently on, as well as a lot of other information. Our support groups are on Zoom. They are really impactful. I can't say enough. When our son was diagnosed and when we went through it as a family, we had private therapy and it was helpful. But the real healing impact was from meeting with other families and having them guide us, having us guide the next families to come and giving back. It was really important.
So let's talk about the impact of COVID and of isolation that has occurred and all the stresses that have occurred in the last 12 months, but it's actually been 13 and maybe 14, depending on where you became aware of it. So tell us about the impact it's had on young people and their parents and the grandparents and the family units.
It's had a huge impact, and it's something that I'm very concerned about. It's still being studied, but preliminary information indicates that the impact has been fairly deep. So one of the major programs that we have brought to Miami since our restart is called Ending the Silence, and it's focused on middle school and high school students and their families in 2 separate modules. The Ending the Silence program is at Miami-Dade Public Schools. We're partners with them, and they will be active and partners in our walk. And it helps students. It destigmatizes mental illness. And I'm mentioning this for a reason. I'm building up.
Okay.
It destigmatizes mental illness. It teaches them warning signs for themselves and their friends. And most importantly, it tells them where to go for help. So let's
talk. I know I keep interrupting you, but I don't want to lose the moment, which is, so if you look for the signs, and you go, okay, this is happening to me, right? Then what should they do when they start having this self-recognition, which has probably been going on for a while? What should they do? Hey, this is what's happening. What should they do?
What they normally do is not what they should do. What they normally do is they're scared. because we have, popular culture is that people who have mental health conditions are put away in asylums. Students have said that to us. And their families don't want their records, don't want a mental health condition listed, so they don't seek help. What they should do, and what we encourage them to do, we give them a resource card that really has phone numbers and people that they can touch base with. And the destigma piece is that Ending the Silence is presented by a young person, generally a college student, who is in recovery from a mental health condition. So they will talk about how they had an eating disorder, how they were cutting, they're now on the swim team, they're now studying for a master's degree. And so the students realize that mental health conditions are no different than any other medical condition, and they have to get help.
And we're going to get back to the stigma of it. We're going to a little bit long. I can't believe we've already been here 25 minutes.
Oh my gosh,
okay.
sorry.
All right. And we're going to do this again. All right. We're going to do this again because I think I promise. All right. It's a really important issue. All right. So let's talk about the stress that people are under. All right. That we know the post-traumatic stress syndrome usually happens a lot when you are recovering, when you're out of the immediate trauma, but yet when you get on that side over there, right, that these stuff starts to happen, right? Especially when you've had family members sick or die, right? So that's yet to be really studied.
Exactly. But the preliminary information that we see, we always say 1 out of 5 people is living with a mental health condition at any time.
What's the real figure?
And now it was NAMI and Pew, changed their information 1 out of 3. And I have seen CDC numbers that say 1 out of 2. And why is that? Isolation, young families, multitasking, children at home in front of screens all the time and away from their friends. So I think the fallout will be significant. We've seen a significant rise in people reaching out to us at NAMI. And the thing that scares me, and this is why I was sort of building up at the Ending the Silence, is that going into this, we had a 60% increase in teen suicide between 2007 and 2019. And the numbers are staggering, and they're consistent in Miami-Dade County as well as nationally. And that's 20% of high school students have had suicide ideations, and almost 9% have tried.
We're going to wrap up here, but we're going to do this again next week or the week after, I promise. All right. I want you to talk to that young person. That means from age 5 or up to age 60, who's not feeling good about themselves. All right. And they're having some problems. Which camera should she talk to? This one over here? Mm-hmm. Talk to them and tell them what they should do.
First of all, I assure them that it's okay to feel that way.
Talk to them right there.
That there's nothing wrong with feeling that way, and with accepting those feelings. What they should do is talk to a trusted individual. It could be their parent, it could be a teacher, it could be aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, to express those feelings, to get help, because mental health problems have as high a recovery rate as any other physical ailment if it's treated. If it's untreated, it doesn't go away. It just interferes with enjoying life, and could interfere with actual functioning in school and general living. So I would say try to get help from your school, from your family, from your pediatrician. Express how you're feeling.
That's tremendous. I know the Miami-Dade County School Board has a special department for that. You can dial 211. They can get you the right person. If it's an emergency, dial 911. Don't do anything stupid, all right? You're going to get through this, all right? Just going to take some time, all right? Be cool, all right? Speak to a trusted friend, whether it's a spiritual leader or someone else. They can call you at... NAMI
National has, and I didn't bring it with me, has a text line as well that's 24/7. And so look at NAMIMiami.org, our website, and there's a lot of information that will be helpful.
Yes.
And again, our number is 305-665-2540. And I hope the whole community will lift up and step up to join us in a walk to show that mental health matters.
And back down to your event that's going to be on May 22nd. It's phrased the National Day of Hope for Mental Health.
That's
right?
correct. And we're starting early. We're actually the week of the 15th. We're lighting the city up green. Green is the color of mental health. And thank you to Miami-Dade County and our mayor. The government center and the courthouse will be green, and perhaps other buildings in some of the other jurisdictions. And we'll be having a week of programming, mindfulness, different music, a lot of programming the week of the 15th, culminating in May 22nd.
Well, I'm so glad
Mental Health Month.
I'm so glad we met. This subject is quite dear to me. And again, want to thank Tommy for producing the show. And when we get done, we're going to go to Tommy. We're going to reset a time for either next week or the week after. Because, all right,
Thank
and it'll
you.
be our components to do that. Again, thanks for joining us. If you need some help, seek a trusted advisor, 211 or NAMI, NAMI.
Well, Thriving Mind, 888-248-3111.
Thanks for
Lots of places to turn.
Thank you for doing what you do.
very much.
Tommy, thanks. So that's it, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you.